Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon. As mentioned, I am Dr. Tamika Quick, Assistant Secretary for Academic and Student Support Programs. I am one of the newest members of the team at OSHE. It's exciting to be here with all of you today because for majority of my career, I've actually been in your shoes working in the state of New Jersey at some of our colleges and universities. So I've been doing this work for quite some time. So to now be at OSHE and being able to be a part of this first convening, which is phenomenal in planning and effort, and seeing you all of you here, it was exciting to be able to sit here with colleagues and talk with them surrounding basic needs on their campuses and how they've been able to get things, resources and programs off the ground running at their institutions. As we know, the state of New Jersey is small. We're a community, so what better way for you to be able to learn than your colleagues at other institutions here at the state? So what I'm going to do is give each of the panelists the opportunity to introduce themselves, as well as give us a brief overview of the basic needs support that they have available at their institutions. So I'm going to start on my far end with Kate.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kate Gallagher. My pronouns are she and they. I'm Senior Vice President for Student Success here at Kane University. And am I talking about the office? So at Kane, we don't have our basic needs supports all structured within a single office. In fact, they're not even within a single division. And that is very much by design. We recognize that students are interacting across the spectrum in the university. And so we really, while it makes it a little bit more challenging to make sure that we're all in sync and that we are sharing information and communicating effectively about what's available for students, we feel really strongly that it is the responsibility of everybody in the Kane community to support our students on their journey to graduation, and that includes meeting all of their basic needs. So I will tell you a little bit later, I'll tell you more about some of the specific programs we have, but we don't have a specific office structure. It's more a network across the university.
I'm Eddie Sievers. I'm the Associate Director of the Center for Student Involvement at Ramapo College of New Jersey. Within the Center for Student Involvement, we have the Civic and Community Engagement Center, and within there, we have our We Care team. And so we have one professional staff member whose responsibilities are split between We Care and Civic Engagement, and they are half of that Civic Engagement CCEC team. So one full-time staff member who has half of their responsibilities for basic needs.
Good afternoon. My name is Carrie Mullins. I'm the Vice President for Campus Life and Dean of Students at Centenary University. And similar to Kane, it's not one specific division because we do believe that it is the whole community that needs to work together to support one another. But predominantly the effort is managed through the Division of Campus Life, more specifically a task force that's comprised of faculty, staff, and students to support the basic needs of our campus community.
Good afternoon. I'm Jackie Tenuto. I'm the Associate Dean of Students, and our basic needs is housed within my office of the Dean of Students.
I'm going to start with Jackie for the second question. Can you please highlight some of the programs that your institution provides regarding basic needs?
Yes, thank you. Our needs and the programs that we have are always evolving based on what our students are always looking for. So some of them, we have a child care center on campus where they can have a discounted child care assistance if they need child care. We have an emergency book fund where students can one time get all their books paid for free. There is no obligation. They just come and get their books, and we've probably paid over $10,000 in books this semester. We have an emergency laptop program where if a student's laptop broke or if they do not have one, we make sure that they have a computer at their needs. They would come to our office and request the laptop. We also have a MiFi system. If a student does not have internet access, they can also request MiFi. We also have an emergency student fund that I think is one of the greatest things because I had an example of a student who was living in an apartment, came to class, went home and found out there was mold in her bathroom and could not return to her apartment. So we provided her with some housing, some assistance in food, and even some clothing. So it was pretty neat to see how the funds were used. We are also very grateful for the OSHE grant for our food pantries. We have 3 food pantries on all campuses, the main campus at Blackwood, the one at Camden City, which is a food desert. We have one at our Roar campus, and we also have an athletic closet that I borrowed from Atlantic Cape's theory. Our athletes are always looking for food, and that athletic high-protein meal for our athletes with 160-some athletes is awesome. So we have that. We also provide discounted eyewear for students, and if a student does not have the money for eyeglasses, we work with the Lions Club, and sometimes they help pay, or we just use our emergency funds to provide eyeglasses to the other students. We also have a $5 dental cleaning program through our dental program where students can come get their teeth cleaned for $5. We get a lot of referrals from different faculty and staff, and we also have some of our stronger faculty that really work and support our students have a food insecurity statement and a basic needs statement on their syllabus. So instead of having to ask, like, where do I get something, it's already on the syllabus and they're approached. Thank you.
We have a lot of the similar support services, so not to go over them all again, but just to highlight some additional ones that Centenary University provides. So we are a residential campus, so we are able to provide a meal swipe program to any student, commuter student that would like to access meals in our cafeteria. We also have a new case management position, and that we've seen great success in, wherein the case manager can support the student on a real personal and individual basis, connecting them to all the resources on campus, as well as those in the local community. We have great partnership with our community partners, Northwest Cap, Project Self-Sufficiency, to name a few, to ensure that the students are utilizing the services both on and off the campus.
We have a food pantry, we have an emergency student relief fund, we have a professional clothing closet, we have a laptop upcycle program, and then new this year was an affordable connectivity program. And so with an outside partner, students, that is the only one that has a requirement in terms of an official things that the student must meet in order to qualify for the program. Pell Grant is the kind of the basic one, and then there are others as well. But that includes a free tablet for those students and free wireless internet, and it is theirs to keep. And the only stipulation on the program is that they have to connect to the wireless internet once a month, and then they continue to use that. And it can be used by others in their household as well, so it could serve as full wireless for somebody.
So much has been mentioned, but I will add a few. We do have the pantry, as everyone else does. It is self-serve, and you may have heard our president mention earlier. Students can place their orders independently and anonymously online and access the lockers anytime, 24 hours a day, and that's thanks to our Hunger Free New Jersey grant. So we also have a career closet that is available to them year-round. As part of those two things, we're also looking at other needs that students may have. We know that a big one is period insecurity and the need for menstrual products, so those are available all the time. But we're looking beyond that as well, right? We have parenting students. Do they, would children's clothing be helpful, or, diapers, other items like that. We have a pop-up shop twice a year to complement our career closet, so students get to come and shop in a boutique atmosphere, try on clothes, and really have a great time. We have mental health services, of course, available through our wellness center. Many of our kind of basic needs programs are housed within the wellness center, and we're excited about our new partnership with UWill, through which students can access counseling online, free, anonymous. Within 24 hours, they have an appointment. Our veterans, we have a Center for Veteran Student Success, and we are very pleased with the work that they do to provide independent support to our veterans. So one-on-one support with any kind of bureaucratic barriers within the institution, and more importantly, I think, with the VA. We have a 15 to Finish campaign, and we are part of the National Moonshot for Equity movement.
Thank you for that. Kate, you kind of touched upon this with regards to assessing the students and knowing what they need. And as practitioners, we understand we have to meet our students where they are. I'm wondering if any of you can talk a little bit about how did you come to identify and continue to assess the needs of your student populations when deciding which resources or initiatives you would provide on your campuses?
So we have a variety of data sources in terms of surveys that have been put out to students. Climate survey, we have our CISA, MISA, I could go through a whole string of acronyms. And we're always looking at those. Some are annual, some are every 3 years, and we're always looking at those data sources, but that's not enough, right? We need more real-time data in between. And so for that, we really rely on our sort of, for lack of a better term, our frontline kind of folks, right? We have advisors and counselors who are interacting with students every single day. With this administration, senior administrators are interacting with students every day. So the qualitative data is flowing kind of in all directions all the time. What we're working on now is a way to capture that data to use it to drive our work in terms of what students are sharing with us day to day that may not come through those formal surveys.
And I just want to go back a couple of years, because I think if there are schools at different places, we got started because of the willingness of a faculty member in a class to do a survey. And so if you are, hopefully because you're here, your institution's on board, but if there are schools that are still working on getting to where they want to be, find those champions on campus. And we would not have opened our food pantry if it was not for the work of some students and a couple of faculty members. And so we are glad to have that institutional support now, but it was not there 7 years ago, and that's probably the case for a lot of folks. And so just in addition to anything that's formal, or if you are not in a place to have that big formal assessment yet, find a partner in a sociology class, a social issues class, and see if they can help you get some of that information, because that's where it started for us.
Yeah, I think I would just add, in addition to all the surveying, it's identifying them early and connecting them early. So it's through the onboarding process, the admissions process, making sure any student is aware of all the services and connecting them so that you can get them set up for success early on and throughout their college career.
I think for me in my area, I'm very hands-on with the students, so I am very student-facing, so I'm in the middle of them. So I feel I work closely with the student government, student clubs, and I get the real answer from the students. So I really think it's important to have the student's voice being heard.
Thank you. Is there an aspect of your program that is thriving or that you believe stands out as a must-have or innovative initiative that you have on your campus that you think anyone that's here from another institution could consider promoting or starting off at their actual campus? Anyone can answer.
So we have, I'll just mention two things. First, we have a newly named Chief Wellbeing Officer. I'll shout her out, Erica Charles. She's here today. And part of Erica's role is she sits within a newly created division that houses the Wellness Center, Cougar Connections for Social Work, and a host of other supports for students. And that holistic approach includes the wellness index you may have heard our president mention earlier that we're working together with EY on. We are their first higher ed partner, so this vitality index is a brand new kind of thing in this higher ed context, and we've been working with them to build that, and I'm really excited to see how Erica and her team are going to use that data, working with folks across the university to really, understand what's going on, not just with our students, with our staff, faculty, our staff, all members of the university community, and work to improve wellness across the board. We heard Dr. Goldrick-Robb say this morning that overlooking the staff and faculty wellness is probably not going to lead you to the greatest outcomes, right, in terms of students' basic needs. And so we are always taking that sort of holistic approach. The second thing I'll mention is a newly created unit under our newly named Dean of Students, Marvin Adamus. And Marvin's unit is providing what we're sort of calling concierge advising and advocacy. So students that have really complex issues have one place that they can go, and they have somebody who's going to work with them from start to finish and track their case to completion. We're talking about students who, it's not just a matter of going to financial aid to resolve the issue, right? It may be partly financial aid, it might be scholarships, it might be Cougar Connections for Social Work, it might be the Wellness Center. You may have really varied needs. We have, students who are displaced or facing housing insecurity, and when they land with Marvin's team, they are kind of, that's the end of them having to go and knock down doors and try to figure out where they need to go. They're going to work with the students, and they're going to make sure that they go wherever they are going to kind of do the outreach for them, right? So instead of saying, go to that office, right? They do the outreach. They accompany the student. They track that case to completion. Not only does that help us give a greater level of service to our students, but it builds a database for us to understand what the issues are and what is leading students to end up in these really complex and difficult situations. And that is in large part to chip away at, or to increase our retention rates and chip away at the number of students we lose because they have complex issues, right? They're living full lives and they just aren't able to connect all the dots internally. So that's what we're aiming to solve.
A couple of food-related pieces from us. One is fresh food. So thanks to the Hunger Free Grant, we have been, and so we're a campus of about 5,000 undergraduate students. We've been giving out 50 bags of fresh food every week. This semester, as we were starting it, we started every other. It's a little bit less in the summer, but so since last March, we've given out almost 1,200 bags of fresh food. So that's been a big thing that is highly in demand. Also through the grant, we opened up 8 satellite pantries. So our main pantry with everything is open limited hours, and we do not have the lockers at this point, but we have 8, which are really mini bookshelves, but they are located across campus. They are open significantly or accessible significantly longer hours, and the only things on there are things that are either ready to eat or ready to microwave. So we're not putting pastas and pasta sauces that require cooking. These are when students need a meal either at that moment or they can go to any of our spaces that have a microwave and do it pretty close to then. So that's what is there. Our satellite pantry in our learning commons, we are currently restocking 3 times a week. So that is where we are seeing a lot of the traffic. And then the last thing is it's more one-offs, but we partner with dining services leading into break periods. So Thanksgiving break, the start of winter break, and spring break, and offer students the chance to register for a couple of free meals that they can pick up, and they're able to reheat over the first few days. So ways to get them some of those items when the dining halls are closed. So those are 3 very specific food-related items that are really, I think, making an impact on our campus.
Yeah, I think I would just add, so we just completed National Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week, right? And so this was our first year really taking that opportunity to have a robust offering of programs and services throughout the week to highlight all of the programs both on our campus and in our local community so that our students can be well aware of all the support, as well as destigmatize some of the concerns around hunger and homelessness. And so we just celebrated a great week on our campus. A second initiative we're really proud of is our SNAP effort. So we're a small institution, and so we don't have on-campus food marts where students could access SNAP, but they have the need and they have the ability. So we started working with the local stores and created a roster, and we have a regular shuttle that brings the students to those stores where they're welcomed and they can avail themselves to such an important social service.
That's great. We, like the other institutions, we have a pop-up produce. We have that twice a year through the Hunger Grant. It's been a wonderful thing. We've given thousands of butternut squash and eggplant. And the best part is we partner with our dietetic program who actually does food demonstrations. So if a student never tasted a butternut squash, they provide us with recipes, and they're actually cooking the butternut squash so people can see how they eat and how they can make it at home. So it's pretty neat to see the students take that recipe and say they've never seen a butternut squash. So that's a pretty neat thing. We've also had a really neat year with the Camden County Government Services. Camden County had a team building event with canned goods. They made a miniature golf course out of canned goods where their teams from all different human services and different branches made all kinds of putting greens, and those 2,000 canned goods were donated back to the college. So that was pretty neat to see them actually build it and then donate it back to us. The county services also donates 40 full turkey meals to our students in need, and if they have any left over from their population, they call us and say, hey, look what we have for you.
Awesome. Sounds like great work. The next couple of questions are going to be very specific to some of the campuses. I'm going to start with Kate. I understand Kane has a robust daycare program. Can you please tell us how the program is structured to meet the needs of your students, staff, and the overall Kane community?
Absolutely. So our Child Care Center has actually been operating since the 1970s, and it is in partnership with our College of Education. So the students who are studying early childhood and things like that have the opportunity to work at the Child Care Center, and there's that nice kind of cross-pollination. More importantly, childcare is available to students as well as to faculty and staff at deeply discounted rates. Students pay the lowest rate, faculty and staff still pay a lower rate than the public would. Even the rate for the public is lower than market value. And so that alone, I think, makes a tremendous difference. Recently, through the C Campus grant, we're now able to offer childcare free of charge completely to Pell-eligible students who check a few other boxes. And so that's been really exciting for us because that, of course, is going to be a game changer for students. We have two things available. We have sort of a traditional day, school day, right? You could do, 3 days a week, 4 days a week, 5 days a week, from 7:30 in the morning till 5 p.m. And we also have aftercare for children. During the day, it's for 2.5 to 5 years old, and then there's aftercare for children up to 13 years old. So we're really excited about being able to expand the number of students we can reach with this and really keep it within their budget and help them continue on their studies. What we're looking at next is we want to build in just a little bit more flexibility, I think, for students, recognizing that many of our students, the model that we have in place now is not necessarily as flexible as they might need it to be based on their work schedules and their outside lives and other responsibilities. That's a tricky one, so we're not going to solve it overnight, but it's definitely something that we want to look at.
Thank you. For Eddie, you talked a little bit about your engagement with academic affairs and getting things started, but can you share a little bit more about how you've been able to engage with academic affairs specifically to basic needs work?
Yeah, we couldn't do what we do without that partnership specifically related to staffing. And so I mentioned that we have one full-time staff member doing all of basic needs, and it's half of their job responsibility. And so the way that we are able to do the rest is that we have Masters of Social Work students who are doing their internships with us. So Andrea is here today. She's part of our team. She's over there, and she's one of the folks that lead on the intakes. So for the food pantry, we don't do any formal intakes, but for everything else, it all works through one intake form. So that was a big change for us this year. So going back to that question about what we're doing well, we used to have separate applications. Do you need a laptop? Do you need an emergency relief fund? Do you need something? And it all comes through a single intake form now. And then Andrea, the other MSW students, can do a full intake and assess, while they reported that their laptop was broken and they needed one, they're able to get into, are they sleeping, are they eating, do they need referrals to counseling, do they need other referrals, and it's not just, you need a laptop, here's the laptop. And so to be able to have students who are able to assist with that process, who are trained through their coursework to assist with that process, and the professional staff member who we have, they specifically need to be an LSW, so that was a big part of as we were creating. We did not have a full-time person formally overseeing this until 2021, so we are in our third year of having it in somebody's job description, so we wrote that specifically for when we hired in 2021. So in order to handle the caseload, the intakes, and we heard earlier about barriers and timing, right? In order to make sure we have the least amount of time between an intake form coming in and a meeting happening with the student, it's about building out that team who can do the intake. So while we can't do it through paid staff, we are working with our students who are, and this isn't, sometimes internships don't have a lot of value to them. We know, oh yeah, I did my internship. This is an internship that really is going to give really amazing experience to the students, the same as if they were placed off campus at a hospital or service site. They're going to get that same experience with us.
Thank you. Carrie, how have you been able to broaden the services to other stakeholder groups, such as staff and faculty who might experience hardships, or even your local surrounding community?
Yes, so Centenary University is positioned in the northwest part of the state. We're the only four-year residential institution serving 3 counties. And so there's a great opportunity and a great responsibility that comes along with that. So making sure that our students are out there providing volunteer services to the local agencies, Norwest Cap and others, as well as the local food pantries that are supporting the greater communities is vital. But one specific partnership with Sussex County Community College I want to highlight. So housing is such an important basic need for students, especially county college students that don't have residence halls and might not live near the institution. And so Centenary had an opportunity. We had some vacancies. Sussex had a need as they were expanding their athletic programs. And we created this housing partnership. So we're in year 3, where we house 100 Sussex County students on our campus. They have safe housing, food, as well as all the support services that we provide, in addition to all the services that Sussex provides. And through that, they've been able to be successful. We surveyed them, and 90% would not have attended Sussex, and 50% would not have even gone to college without that partnership. So we're very proud of that, and that's certainly a win-win for both institutions, and most importantly, the students.
And last but not least, for Jackie, how have you been able to fund and sustain or even scale up your food pantry initiatives?
Mostly by the Hunger Grant, and we also received a $10,000 grant from ShopRite. And I'd like to acknowledge my food pantry coordinator, Ms. Kim Console. Kim is a student of ours at Camden County. She'll be completing her degree in the spring, and Kim is the heart and soul of my campus. Because without her, Kim made the connection to ShopRite to find out that there was this $10,000 scholarship. So without Kim making that connection, introducing herself to everybody she knows, she has been an amazing person. And with her being a peer, as we talked about it earlier, having Kimmy as the student in the pantry, the students tell Kim everything. Right? So then Kim tells me everything. So having her on that site, she gets to hear if there's a cultural piece of food that we do not have, or if there's something that we're lacking or they don't like. It is very well relayed back to me. So the Hunger Grant has been amazing. We are always looking for sponsors. Kim's always looking for different ways to find funding. But I really think if you don't have a student in your food pantry, you're really missing out, because she has made a world of difference in mine.
Thank you. I'm going to ask one last question, because that's what we have time for. In keeping up with the trends and knowing where our students are currently, are there any basic needs that your institution plans on addressing in the future?
Housing is our weak link. The cost of a full cost of housing, and so whether it's figuring out institutionally how we can navigate not paying a full cost to cover a student, or how to get the funds to cover for a full student. We have not seen a lot of it, but when we do, we don't have a system in place, and we end up scrambling to try to gather together the funds from various places. So that's an area where we need to grow, and so we're going to spend some time on that.
I'll mention 2 things briefly. One is we're taking a close look at financial aid and scholarships and trying to figure out how we can be more innovative and help students meet all of their needs. So particularly around scholarships, wanting to build up that team and the offerings to students, helping them identify opportunities that are outside of the institution, that are outside of the traditional funding streams, to complete the funding package in ways that can help them not only stay here, but meet their basic needs in the process as well. And then the other thing is that we have discovered through all this wonderful qualitative data we're getting from students that there are a significant number of students who need housing when the university is closed, between semesters, on breaks, that kind of thing. We've provided some ad hoc relief here and there, sweet talking, begging, favors, cupcakes, coffee, what have you, but we want to systematize that so that it's not a one-off solution for a student that requires somebody to run around to their colleagues, but there is an official system in place that students can be a part of, and it will run a little bit more seamlessly for everybody and create less stress for students, we hope.
The only thing I can think of is transportation, because we have students that say they have transportation. We do have a shuttle between our Camden City campus and our Blackwood campus, but many times they start out having transportation and then we don't have transportation. So we are going to look into ways, maybe a Wawa gift card or some other, we have partnered with the New Jersey Transit Bus Discount Pass, but transportation is a struggle for us.
Yeah, I think I would just add to the housing concerns. So being a small institution, we're able to house our students over the breaks, which is great, but then what happens when they graduate? Or what happens when they have to take a pause for a leave of absence or something? And we get creative, but it's not perfect. So some kind of bridge program is something we're trying to figure out for the students that need to take a pause or graduate.
Thank you. Can you please join me in giving the panelists a round of applause? On behalf of OSHE, we thank you for joining our panelists and speaking on behalf of your institutions. This is an example of the work of why we are here for this convening, right? To hear from one another, to learn from one another, to gather like-minded people in the same room, to learn from one another. A lot of times you don't have to reinvent the wheel, but just talk to a colleague at a table next to you. So this is just some people that you can be able to talk to, but you have a room of folks that are doing the same work. So I definitely encourage you to switch business cards, exchange contact information so you all can learn from one another as we continue this great work. Thank you again. Thank you.